How's that?
Now?
All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Decided to do a quick YouTube video just to demonstrate how to fix a flat tire on a car. Hold it straight, honey. My daughter Iris is helping me out. Thank you so much, Iris,
Hi.
for helping out with this video.
I just got ready for church.
Iris just got ready for church. If you can
Wearing
see,
a church dress.
she's wearing a beautiful dress and beautiful new shoes and handbag that she just got yesterday, which looks beautiful. Check out her little heels. Yes, little spin. And she painted her toenails and her... Did you paint your fingernails?
Yeah.
Not yet? Okay. She painted her toenails to match. She's looking adorable.
And look at that bird. That bird just flew up right there.
So we were on our way to church. Thank you, baby. And came out, or my wife came out and let me know that I had a flat tire. So changed out of my church clothes into some work clothes to fix the flat tire and try to get to church, you know, within a reasonable amount of time since we're going to be late. But I thought I'd demonstrate a little bit on how to do this process or this project so that other people who may not know how to change a flat tire, it's not as common as, you know, some people might think, can have an idea. So I'm almost done, but I want to walk you through the steps that will help you and anybody you know be able to change a flat tire. So the first thing that I did was loosen the lug nuts. Point over at the front wheel right there, honey. So, okay, now come back to me. So I loosened the lug nuts while the wheel, before I jacked up the car, while the wheel is still on the ground, because the friction of the wheel being on the ground helps to prevent the wheel from spinning when I'm trying to turn the lug nuts. Yes, honey.
What do you mean by jacked up?
Okay, so the jack is that apparatus that I'm using to lift the car up off the ground. You see it right there?
Oh, the black thing with
Yep.
the thing?
Yeah, the black thing. So most cars come with a jack of some sorts. This car came with a jack. It doesn't come with a spare tire because most of the back trunk is taken up by a battery. It's a hybrid. So we don't get a spare tire with our car, but we did get a jack and, you know, that type of stuff. And so I'm using it to lift up the car. But what I'm saying to you is it's important to at least loosen. Don't take the lug nuts off. The lug nuts are these right here. These are the lug nuts, the bolts that hold the wheel onto the car. So you want to loosen them with your lug nut wrench. It's either going to look like this or it's going to look like this. Most likely you're going to have something like this that comes with your jack and it's going to be in the trunk of your car. And if it came with the car, then it's definitely going to fit the lug nuts. So you loosen them before you jack the wheel up off the ground. That makes it easier to take the wheel off, because if they're on tight and you lift the wheel up first, when you go to twist the lug nuts, the whole wheel is probably going to turn too, and that's not going to be helpful. If you're in a shop and you have air tools, that's not a problem, but you're on the side of the road, you want to use friction to loosen the lug nuts. So once you get the lug nuts loosened, yes, you got a question?
It's not a question, but I have something to tell you.
Okay.
You have two hairs sticking out of your head right here that look like antennas.
Okay. I'm not
So
going
you
to worry
kind of
about
look
that
like
right
an
now.
ant.
I'm not going to worry about that right now. But thank you for telling me.
And it
So
looks kind of funny.
before you jack the car up off the ground, you want to make sure that the parking brake is set. So set your parking brake, then position the jack underneath the car in the place that it goes. Now, most of the time, if you look underneath your car, you'll see a spot, and there'll be two notches or something like that. It tells you where to put the jack. You want to put the jack on a very solid piece of the car and not like, see this right here? Most cars have this kind of skirting that goes around it, and that's usually made out of plastic or fiberglass, and that will bend. It's not intended to hold up the car. Point the camera at me. So it's not intended to hold up the car. You have to actually get down and look underneath the car for a solid piece of material, metal, to put the jack underneath to lift up the car. Once you got the car up off the ground, you can continue taking the rest of the lug nuts all the way off, and then you can pull the wheel off of the car, which you see I've done here, right? So if you look down here at the wheel, what you'll see is I've got the wheel off of the car, and I also have an air pump. Now these things are good to keep in your car because if you have a slow leak or something, you can at least put air back in the tire and get you to a safe space to where you can, you know, do this kind of operation without being, you know, in the middle of the highway or on the side of the road. You can pull to a gas station or something and it'll be much safer. But in any event, it's a good idea to make sure before you leave the house that you have a jack, maybe some jack stands if you are so lucky to own some, but definitely a jack and everything that you need to take the wheel off, and an air pump. So what you see here is a kit that I use. It's for plugging the tire. Now if you go to a used tire place, they'll charge you $10 to do what they call a plug, which is basically these little strips. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're orange, but it's just a sticky strip that you're going to use to stick in the hole. So you might ask, how do I find the hole? Well, what I did was I took the wheel off the car, and then I used my air pump to fill it up with air. Then I used a squirt bottle of soapy water, and I sprayed it on the tire until I could see the spot where the air was coming back out. Sometimes you need some soapy water, or if you don't have soapy water, just water will help you see where the air is coming out, because it wasn't obvious. Sometimes you'll, go ahead.
The soapy water makes the bubbles, and it makes it like harder, easier to see where the air is coming in.
Right, exactly. And you were here for that part, so you remember and you know how that works.
Yes.
Now, I want you to step back a little bit because I don't want you to get any of this on your dress.
Yes.
All right, so if you don't have soapy water, some Windex, anything that will help you see the air coming out of the tire. But sometimes you'll look and there'll be a nail in the tire and it'll be obvious, or a screw, or a piece of glass sticking out of the tire and it'll be obvious. If it's something like that, you want to have a pair of pliers around that you can use to pull that object out of the tire. And then you want to use a tool like this. Take a look at that tool. And I like this one because it's really easy to grip. Some of them just look like a screwdriver, but this one is easier to grip. And what it does is it makes the hole wider and more obvious. So now I can see the hole. I know where it is, and I'm kind of reaming it out.
I'm gonna step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because some of that almost splashed on my dress.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm twisting it around and just reaming the hole out to make it obvious where it is, and then also to prepare the hole to be plugged. Next, the other part of the kit is this tool, which you'll see it has a slot in the top of it. Here's one, an extra one that I have. See, it has this slot in the top, and it's actually broken at the very tip. So that when I put this plug, when I put the plug through it, through that slot, I'm gonna pull it all the way through. I keep a pair of pliers or something around to help me be able to do that. I'm gonna pull it all the way through so it's halfway in and halfway out, like so, right? Now, I'm gonna use this tool, find my hole, and take a look at this. I'm gonna punch that plug with this tool all the way into the tire like so. And this might be easier if there's some air left in the tire. It might be easier for you if the tire is pretty much empty with air, but it's helpful if you don't have on clothes that you
like.
That you care about, so that you can really position the tire between your legs and hold it in place. So now you can see the plug is in the tire, and this tool, I don't know if you can see that slot at the top, but
You can see it.
it's designed so that when I pull this back out quickly, it leaves the plug in place. So I'm gonna yank it out real quick right now, and you see the plug stays in place because it comes off of the tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now this tire is officially plugged. All I have to do now is cut off that little excess and fill it back up with air, and I can put it back on the car. So I'm gonna do that now.
All right.
All right, turn it back over on this side, and this is just a little air pump that came with the car. If you're not familiar with them, it's pretty much just like a pump you would use to put on a bike. The stem is the same, and so if you've ever pumped up a bike tire, then this should be very similar to that. I'm screwing this on. I'm going to, it's already plugged up to the car and ready to go. I'm gonna fill the tire back up with air, and I'm gonna find something to cut off the rest of that plug, and we should be ready to go. For general information, if you look, this one has a gauge, and so I'm gonna continue to pump up the tire until we get to around 38 pounds per square inch PSI, so between 30 and 40. But if you look on your driver's side, when you open the door, there should be a little chart that tells you for your car how much air should go in each of the tires. And it's not always the same. It's not even always the same from the front and the back. Sometimes it's different front to back. So with that, I think that wraps it up. I'm gonna go ahead and fill up the tire and get this wheel back on the car
So we can go to church.
so we can go to church. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching. And if you got any value from this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Bye.